People of the world, welcome back to the glory that is moral marketing backstage. I was speaking to the incomparable Sima Dahl, who is a leading branding expert, keynote speaker, and author known for her innovative sway factor approach to personal branding. With over 2 decades of experience, Sima helps professionals and organizations build powerful, authentic brands that drive visibility and success. Did you know that Sima grew up in a, let's say, maybe not a religious household, right? Perhaps sort of deal. And but we're going to talk about God anyway, because guess what? Everyone gets to talk about God and love in a business context. Welcome to the show, Sima Dahl.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here, and I'm ready to talk about anything. I'm open book.
I love it. So there's something called life review. And when people die, followers of the show are going to be like, Helen, will you ever stop talking about the life review? No. Um,
Life review. Okay, hang on. Say that again. It's what?
Yeah, they die, they meet God, and look, God is inexplicable, right? Just completely and totally, like whatever you think, it's like not even close.
Got
So,
it.
like
Got it.
unbelievable love, ever increasing love, fabric of reality, all knowing, yay. And they go through a life review where they're like, oh, my life makes perfect sense, and everything that happened to me happened for the betterment of my soul, but also I did some things that were maybe not the best things, and I see the reflection, like the negativity. It's like a chain lightning, and the things I did that were really good were just like the angels just they were so happy. It was like a chorus, like when I did that selfless thing, right? And I went out of my way to help someone, and when money wasn't a motivating factor, and when when I really really genuinely loved people, it's just that's the point of existence. So
Right.
so does and then business. That's the point of the show, right? Because, okay, great. That's so wonderful. Go be a hippie, go smoke pot on the beach and go love everybody, right? But put food on your kid's table, right? So how does the sway factor do that? Simadal.com, everything that you're doing, how do you merge those two worlds?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? No, I'm just kidding. That was a big question. That was a big question. How does the work I do better the world? Well, I was I was an awkward young person, really shy, self-conscious, a lot of negative noise in my head. And there are a lot of people grappling with negative noise in their head. And I worked very hard to find my voice, my confidence, my comfortability or ability to do it anyway and take thoughtful risk. And it's been a lifelong pursuit of mine. What I do with the sway factor is I empower people to do that for themselves so that they can be self-promoters, self-confident, speak up, and get the kind of work, yes, it's work, that they most desire.
Okay.
So,
So
picture a woman who couldn't talk to strangers, who now
it,
gets in front of audiences of thousands of people.
right. So I love this. Okay. So people who have, because public speaking, a lot of people say they would rather do many other things that I shall not mention. They're not pretty. They would rather do a lot of things that are not pretty, instead of speak publicly, right? Now you self-ascribed as sort of that personality type, right? And then you managed to maneuver your way out of that, correct?
Correct.
Right. And so what's the biggest audience you ever spoke in front of?
Oh, probably a couple thousand people.
That's a lot of people, Simadal. And so have you ever had this moment? I had this moment where because I'm a speaker too, and I went to some like Rotary Club thingy, whatever, and I'm speaking, and the guy in the very front is full asleep, like
Oh,
snoring.
sure.
This guy is done. He's toast. And I have to ask myself, why are you here? There are better places to nap. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had these moments where people like it's like they don't realize the speaker can see everyone?
Well, listen, I've been the person in the audience that try as I might, I'm digging my fingernails into my hands, that I can't help it, but the nap is coming for me. So I've been in both places. When I went to grad school at night, so I worked full time, I worked a second job, and then I went to grad school nights. We used to sit in the front row and eat atomic fireballs just to stay awake. That was my method.
You know,
Uh, Still the nap would call.
I love the nap. I honestly, I think as we get closer to world peace, and I call for world peace all the time because I believe, and I know, in fact, because of the people who die and have the near-death experiences and all that, they say that thoughts are incredibly powerful, super powerful. The thoughts that we have, even if we reject a negative thought, and this is important, you have a negative thought, you reject it, you say, that's not me, right?
Yeah, I just push it away.
That's not me. That's not me. It's like the wind. When the wind blows really hard in my face, I'm not like, oh, I'm so bad because the wind's blowing in my face. It's not me. It's the wind, right? And same thing with these thoughts. They pop in. I'm like, that's not who I am. Whatever, ugh, that thought is gross. Now I get rid of it. I'm like, not me.
You know,
Um,
you're speaking really fast about this point, but this was pivotal in my turning,
oh yeah, because
confidence.
we have similar minds. I know we do because based on everything you said about just the torrent of
I
negativity.
literally was taught by someone to grab the thought and say, "Nope, not who I am."
I
And
love
when
this.
I became less judgeful of myself, I stopped judging others.
Isn't that so beautiful that you
It's
get it?
amazing.
Totally get it. So I tell people all the time, it's like, I got to remember this guy's name because I mention him every single episode, but Daryl something. And the reason I mention he's an African American dude is because he collects Ku Klux Klan members' robes by like talking to them and loving them. And they eventually realize that like their racism is stupid and they give it up.
Wow.
It's like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be going towards the people who hate you the most, right? Right. It's like I have this clothing idea brand where I've got like Trump and it was Biden at the time, but it would be Kamala or whatever. And they're like shaking hands or like sitting on a park bench with flowers around them and they're just talking, chatting. And you know what I mean? It's like, it's this note. I don't know when we got into this space, but it's like, oh, if I like red team, by default, I must hate blue team.
That's
And
right.
and that's like that is just not even in the ballpark of accurate. And it's like easy mode. It's so easy to do that. You know, we're supposed to love them.
Yeah. Like we were talking, there's love and there's fear, and hate comes from fear, right? It's just a knee-jerk reaction to that which we don't understand.
Yep, that's it. And so it's like, okay, that's nice, ya hippies. Now we need to make a bunch of money, right? And we need to live in a nice house and have an ocean view and da 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 da. You see what I mean? And so I look at these business models, like there's Tom's that has the shoes, and they give a
Sure.
like that's fine. Like there's a bunch of those out there, and I envision a reality in the future where people go to the grocery store and they like scan stuff, and they have like a social score and like how much they give away and the different stuff they're involved with. Like I think it's going to be like the new Google review. There's going to be like, oh, how are good are they at the product and
Oh,
service?
so
That
you're still judging people now.
I'm just saying, it's like, look, it's like, to be fair, because then there's practicality too, right? So the other thing is I run around telling people to love everyone all the time, and they go, yeah, okay, cool, guy, neat. So the guy that comes up to your house who's like totally drunk and like wants into your house, like you're gonna let him in, right? And I'm like, when my daughter comes to me and she wants cake for dinner, the answer is no. So I can love you and say no.
That's right.
I love
That's
my daughter.
absolutely right.
Love my daughter. You know what I mean? Like I can kick you out and love you as I'm kicking you out. Right? God
That's
does
right.
it to some people. Give them the boot. There's stories about that. But yeah. So all right. So to the degree to which there are people who are, let's say, timid, it's probably not the right word to describe it, want more confidence, etc. They talk to you, and what do you do? What kind of magic? Right? How,
Well, so I'm primarily a keynote speaker and a corporate trainer, and the work there is around teaching people to market themselves.
okay.
But what I've discovered, and in my coaching practice especially, is that people don't have the language to use when talking to themselves. It's really hard to market yourself to others if you don't have the words that describe who you are, what you do, what makes you special, the value you add to the business, to the organization, to whomever might be looking to hire you. So we really work on language.
Yes. So in the beginning was the word, and the word was God. That's the first line of Genesis, if I recall correctly. Maybe I'm wrong. But yes, the power of the word is just it's like unfathomably powerful. And so sometimes I just like to say things like, "We will achieve world peace," because
Why not?
I can say that. You can say that, right? Right?
Yeah, I was actually just I have these like little cards on my desk and I flip through them and this one literally says, I am worth loving.
Yeah. Love it.
Let me just say that out loud.
Beautiful. And then I have to throw out my Simon Sinek thing, which is, and God bless him, I don't know where he got this from, but he says the mind doesn't perceive negatives. And then he goes, don't think of a pink elephant. Whatever you do, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't do it, not a pink elephant. And of course, everyone starts thinking about a pink elephant. And so the difference between I love you and I don't hate you, they're two completely different sentences.
Right.
And so as I talk, I will say I don't love it. It's not my favorite thing. right?
I
When
don't
I'm just
love it. I don't believe in using the word hate. I was raised um, to not use the word hate or ugly.
yeah, beautiful. See, I love that.
Yeah. Like
Exactly.
none of God's creatures is ugly, is a phrase my mom used to use.
Right. Exactly. And so again, because when we say the word, that's what goes into our mind. It's
Right.
enchanting. It's the magic of enchantment, right? Of enchanting, right? And then literally like my job, you know what my job is? I go and I help people put magical words, keywords, but they're called keywords, right? They open up and I put them onto scrolls, right? Like because you
Oh, neat.
scroll on websites, right? So literally where these sort of like magician,
Interesting way to describe that.
that's what we do. And then people describe it as magic. They go, whatever internet magic you need to do. And that's like, correct. That is what we do. I mean, look at this backdrop. It is magical, whimsical.
Yeah, it is. And mine's just a mess, so I blurted it out.
You know what? It's beautiful. I'm sure it's beautiful. All right, so Sima, that's cool. All right, so you go into these organizations and you talk to many people at the same time, individually. How's that work?
Yeah, I do all of that. So a keynote is a large room of people.
Oh yeah.
Uh, a workshop, and it might just be 50 people. Like you speak to a sales team, it's 50 people there. They all still want to attract more leads, referrals, opportunities, but they don't know how to actually express how they help other people in just a human way. So we do a lot of that. So a workshop, 20, 100 people, in individual coaching. I don't have group coaching yet. I'm considering it, but I work with an individual who wants to affect some kind of change in their profession and needs help doing that.
Very cool. We should work together. So the my here's my thing. Because we've completely stripped the word love from the equation, there is a starvation, right? I shouldn't use that word. There is a when you say it, it fills people up. It
A hunger.
fills them up. It fills them up. When you say that you love them and that you care about them, it's like they're just like, whoa, what just happened, right? Because what happened, this is the truth, right? So because of how do I phrase this in a way that makes any sense? Love is the answer. It has always been the answer. It will always be the answer. That's just what it is, right? And so, what happens is here's a good example. I brought some fancy schmancy, whole bunch of fancy schmancy people together in a super expensive fancy schmancy place and fancy schmancy meeting, and everything's all very, and we're all just kids playing these roles, right? And so it's all very, and I've got my coach shoes on, and it's whatever. And then once the full thing was done, I was like, they looked at me. I said, I didn't say almost anything, but I said, God is good. They're like, what? Anything you want to answer? Like, Kellen, you haven't said much, And I was just like, God is good. And everyone just like, they were just like relieved to hear it because in the context of it is it's like, I love every one of you. The fact that we're all here together is beyond me, right? Like the fact that I don't take, like I didn't do this, right? But the magic of the universe. Because here's my take, and tell me if you believe this to be true. Like video games, right? Like my Super Mario Brothers, whatever. Okay, so
Okay.
imagine a video game, and there's a little character in the video game. The video game, the designers of the video game make the game in such a way that it's hard. It's hard for the character. It's supposed to be hard. There's things
That's
that
right.
are hacking it, and it's hard, and they have to like get money, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's really painful. And how's it going to end? We don't know, and it keeps getting harder and harder and harder, and like the time is ticking down. You can die, right? And so when we identify as the character in the game, we go, this is a nightmare, right? But when we identify as the player of the game, we go, oh, this is making me much better. Me, the player, right, is getting much better. And so I
Yeah.
feel like God is putting you and me together, and every moment you've ever had of everything ever is, haven't you noticed that it's always difficult? Like the moment you get rid of one thing, you're like, oh, I did it. Yeah, I got through that. Like awesome. Like let's go. Like super exciting. Like chapter, boom, level finished. Points, and it's like immediately the next thing, and you're like, man, because it's just like a video game. It's like hyper
Well, I
curated.
think there's value in taking small risk every day of your life because you get accustomed um, to leaning out of your comfort zone, but also to recognizing that not everything is going to be hunky dory every single time. And one of the risks I've been taking lately is just telling my gal pals and my close male friends that I love them. Like at the end of phone calls,
Oh,
listen,
I
I love
knew
you.
it. I knew it. I knew
Yeah,
you
and
were
it
gonna
just
get
like, of course I do, but but why assume so when we can breathe it into existence? That's just something I've been doing. And
Point.
going up to people on the street, man or woman, and telling them they look beautiful. Long ago somebody told me, don't compliment the dress, compliment the way the dress makes the person look.
Okay.
So, you look beautiful in that dress, or
Uh,
how stylish you look today. And just speaking good and investing, making those deposits in people makes me happier.
yes, yes. This is
Mm,
why. This is so the reason you and I are talking is because I send out a cold email about my long lost sister. And what I'm finding is that when I am, loving people, I'm like, hey, here's this like mind-boggling story from my life, true story. And then the people who resonate with that are the kind of people who say things like what you just said, right?
mm,
Which is the love that I have for others is the love I have for myself. They are one and the same, right? So if I go to a sports event, whatever, and the team that I'm rooting for doesn't win and I love the other team and I'm happy for them, right? That is the love I have for myself. Right. It's a one-to-one connection.
I always feel so badly for the losing team. We watch a lot of football. We're season ticket holders for the Chicago Bears. Say
Let's
what
go.
you want. This is going to be a good year. And I'm always crestfallen for the just to watch their faces,
Mhm.
the dismay and the hurt of defeat. But winning is good.
Yeah, I get it, but it's like, when you take like, okay, so because this is the crux of the issue, right? So you've got Republicans, Democrats, right? But we know what's going on there. And when we vote, the structure of our vote is it must be 100%, right? We could easily change it to like if you want to do 70-30, you can, right?
Right,
But
right.
we've structured it where because I feel like most people are actually probably more like 80-20 if they had to. They'd be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
more accurate. But because it's like it's 100%, it is what it is, right? It becomes that way, but they're two legs of the same body. They're two legs of the same body. And the left leg should not always have the power because it's going to get fatigued and it's going to be too much. And then the right leg should not always have the power. It's like you bounce the power between the two to move.
that's
That's
right.
body politic, if you will. And so the same is true of like sports teams and all this sort of stuff. So like when fans go up to the team that lost and they feel that, right? That it's like, hey man, your team played really well. Or they point out, like to your point, you said it's like, hey, those shoes look really good on you, right? And so you go to the other team, you're like, hey man, when whatever Darius caught that was a good play, man. That it's like the angels sing, they sing because they
Yeah,
know that you have the dopamine rush, you get all the bonus chemicals that your team just won, but in that moment you will forego that to dive into their experience and go, oh yeah, like hey man, like I see you, right? And I'm feeling for you too. And then when the opposite happens, when quote you lose, which is not even a thing, you can enjoy the win of the other team. It's like, hey, you guys played really well today.
I think that's why I experienced like COVID wasn't bad for me. Post COVID was bad for me
Okay.
because I was burned out on empathy. I was exhausted from we had race riots in Chicago. There was the whole politic of the thing. And I'm asthmatic. I was afraid for my life. There was all these things going on. My work as a public speaker, you can imagine, like
Oh.
imploded. And what happened post COVID for me is I stopped expressing myself. I
Mm,
stopped expressing good and bad. And I stopped taking those thoughtful risks. And I just was in sort of a shell. And I worked from home alone. And it was just all like I was cocooned and I couldn't get out of it. And in fact, I had podcast interview requests that I just ignored. And
mhm.
so I'm glad we connected, and I'm glad we can talk about this because it's not a healthy way to live. It's keeping that all that expression, all that empathy, the joy for others, and the sorrow when they're hurting. You can't stifle that. After a while, you just become a shell of a human being, and that's the path I was headed on.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Just the other day. It's funny because I know how I come across on this show. And so I wonder what people think about well, how I am like outside of the show and stuff. Because I'm super passionate about this. Like I really, 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 really want the people of the world to understand the power of their thoughts and the power of their words. And that thing I talked about, saying love, right? A lot,
Yep.
God. Like say the words God and love a lot and see what happens. So anyway, just yesterday I was sitting on the couch and I had to summon strength and patience from a well that is infinite. Do you know what I mean? And that's what God means to me. It's like the reason why I love the word God so much is it's like it's something different for every single person. It is fundamentally good. That's the nature of it, right? It's a creative force. It's a loving force. Like this is what God means to me, right? And so I'll just be like, God, just even if I'm talking to my higher self, we can go the higher self vibe. You know, it's like whatever vibe you need to get there. Good, cool, do it, wonderful. You know, and I did it. I was in
I'm
such
not laughing I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at a memory
sure.
of the neighbors trying to save my little soul and taking me to church with them. And we'd watch films of what happens. What's it called when the good people are taken and the rest
Oh
of us are
yeah, the
left?
rapture.
Yeah, yeah. And my dad was non-practicing, but of Jewish faith.
Yeah.
My mom was Catholic turned Lutheran.
Yeah.
And I was just raised that God is good and be kind to others, and acts of charity is your religion. It was very informal, many paths to God,
Right.
and it serves me to this day very well. But I remember seeing those movies, and that's not a good God. Like you can't show an impressionable young person movies like that and expect them to think that God is love.
You know, it's always one level deeper. And that's what people need to understand is it's like, and I love to again, my audience, you know I love you. Fine, it's the 43rd time I've explained the story. That's not true, but I'm using hyperbole to explain the point. This dude named Drake, he dies. He's like, I'm not prejudiced at all. He meets a guardian angel. The guardian angel's like, yes, you aren't prejudiced. That's wonderful for you, but how do you feel about prejudiced people? And he goes, oh no, I hate them. So it's one
That's a
thing.
good one.
Right. It's one thing not to be prejudiced, but to have prejudice against do you see what I'm saying? Like as the layers
I do.
unfold,
I do.
eventually people land on, I found it. And they point to this thing and they say, that's not the good thing. Right. I found it. These people, that mindset, that thing, and so
Yeah, that's what I hate.
I- exactly. And it's like, and there we found it in you. And now
Yeah,
it's in you. Right. And it's always been in you and you haven't cleared it out yet. Right.
yeah,
Because
and it spreads into other areas of your life, and
it's
it spreads into how you perceive what you see in the mirror.
Yep, it is you. It's your thought.
That's
It's
right.
allowed that thought. And again, this is where this it gets so interesting. Is it's like you might go through life similar to how my Sim and mine's work, and maybe I hope I'm accurate in understanding what you said earlier. But in my head, it's like I'm like, can I get a good thought in there, please? That one's not either. Okay. I'm still none of these. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, could we get there's a good one.
But what I do is I tell myself that I can love you even though I don't understand you.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand you in order to love you, and
Mm,
that takes a lot of pressure off.
mm, yeah.
Just to embrace the human spirit, the human being, the human elephant, the element, the nature of the world in which we live, and know that I'll never fully understand it.
Mm.
But sometimes I'm struck by the idea when you're driving on the highway and every person in every single car, you're backed up in traffic in both directions and overhead, they have the same trials and tribulations by and large that I've walked the earth on. And they've had hearts broken and first loves crushed. And, you know, maybe their parents were great, maybe their parents left it, everything. We're all the same in that regard. So I can't even understand fully myself. I'm never going to understand everybody else, but love must prevail. Or
Yeah.
what a waste of space we are.
Yeah. Amor vincit omnia would be the Latin. Love conquers all. Vence in Spanish. Vencer. Vencido. It's like what's like I'm trying to find like the etymology of it. It's like it is okay. Arjuna, who is this archer, okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Which is part of the Mahabharata, right? It's this super long story about all these kings and princes, and it's an heir succession, sort of like ancient
What
Hindu.
realm are we in? What category?
So this would be Hinduism.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And so Arjuna is basically being told by Krishna, who is an avatar of God. So it's so funny because Hinduism and Christianity have a lot in common, right? Because
That's
Christian,
right. That I know. My aunt was a Buddhist, practicing
like,
Buddhist.
yeah, so it's like people believe that Christ is the Son of God, right? And Hindus believe that Krishna is an avatar of God, an incarnation of God, right? And so anyway, so Arjuna goes, okay, these people that are clearly like not the if they win, things will not be good for people, right? And so I've been like told that I'm a soldier and I'm the best archer there is, and I'm supposed to go fight these people, and that's my uncle on the other side. And at one point, Krishna shows him what's referred to as the many faces of Godhead, right? And which is one of the most beautiful, like little moments. And there's this beautiful picture of it that I have in my mind. But essentially, what that story taught me is that when I love you, when I love my daughter, when I love everyone that I'm looking at, right, and thinking about, right, what happens is I put on the many faces of Godhead, which is to say, I become you, right? It's like when I go like, no, I don't know the details, but I know. Sima, like every word you say, the structure of everything, you know what I mean? The energy that you're presenting, everything, like I know what you've been. You know what I mean? Like fill in the details fine. And so, but that's empathy and that's love. And the power of that is so dramatically more than any other thing in the universe that is the source. That's what source of all power.
So what happens to the archer?
Well, he fights, and what's so interesting is if you identify with the body, you're going to look at that story one way. And remember, you have to love Arjuna, right? So you have to love the soldier that fights and wins against his family, And so I think a lot of Christians who are, fundamentalist Christians and I think that they would really love that story in the Bhagavad Gita because it's the World War II narrative, which is Germany is trampling over, the entire world, the Holocaust is happening. Do you
Yeah,
fight? That's what this is. That's what that story is, right? And so, when people would say, "Oh, but you're supposed to turn the other cheek," that's very Christian, and yet
yeah.
Christians go to
Not
war.
even what that means.
So really, honestly, here's my thing, right? So God is going to put in front of you precisely the level that you are capable of handling in terms of love, right? Like, can you love the person who cut you off in front of traffic? If you can't, you're going to keep getting people cutting in front of you in traffic, and it's going to, you know what I mean? And that's still going to be a thing. It's still going to be a thing, right? The person who stiffs you on the bill who doesn't pay you, the waiter who like just completely forgot about you for 30 minutes, and your toddler is like bawling, just like it's like just one after another. Like, can you love them? Can you love them now? Can you forgiveness and love, right? And then it's just you level up. And then you end up meeting people like Sima, right? Who are like, love's the answer. And you're like, yes. And it's so refreshing to find people like that because
Yeah, yeah,
always encounter them, but God's like, okay, I'm going to give you a little respite here and have you talk with someone else who fundament. And so literally like that big deal I was telling you about, and I promise I'll stop talking briefly after this, is that huge deal. I told that lady, the CEO, first thing out of my mouth was my philosophy is love everyone and tell the truth. And she
there
goes,
you go.
oh, you know what I mean? Go on. So there's a place for this.
That's right. That's right. I used to think when I encountered negative people that God was teaching me how to deal with them differently or how to be different so the negativity wasn't so impactatious, as Don King would say. But really, just it's okay to love those people and then say, but I'm not putting up with this and turn around and walk away. That's
Mhm.
fully an act of love in both directions. And it took me a long, long time to learn that.
Oh, it is one of the things, man. Jesus toppled over tables in front of a church. He's like, "What y'all doing? What you doing? I love you. Don't do this." And if this is what it's going to take for you to get it, I'm flipping over tables, right? And it's still a meme to this day. The table flip,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yes, the Christ within, if you will, right? It's like we all get Christ. Every single one of us, just like we all get God, we all get Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, under the Bodhi tree, achieving enlightenment. There's a story that very few people in the West know about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, doing something called the Isra Mirage, where he has an out of body experience. He hops on some like flaming horse. Apologies if I'm getting the details of the stories incorrect. He shows up in what is now current day Mecca, and he ascends the Mirage part. Isra Mirage, one of them means ladder. He goes up the ladder. It's an Abrahamic faith, so he meets all like the cast of characters from the Bible, right? So he sees like Moses and all these different people, and he goes up to God and he says, "How often should I ask my people to pray?" And God says like 50. And he's like, oh, he's feeling all, he's like, that's a lot. And so he goes back down. He sees, I think, Moses or something on the way down. He's like, God told me to tell him to pray 50 times a day. And he's like, no, go back up. It's fine. God loves everything. You're fine. Just go back up and tell him it's too much. And so he goes back up. He's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's too much, And he's like, that's fine. Do 40 then. And he keeps doing this until they reach 5. And that's why every Muslim on the planet, do you understand what I'm saying? Why every
Yeah,
Muslim on the planet, this is the reason why every Muslim on the planet prays 5 times, not 4 times, not 6 times, not 20 times, not 40 times, 5 times a day,
right.
because of this moment that this prophet had. And so you and I have that. Is it coming? When is it coming? I don't know, right? But we have the capacity for 2,000 years later, 1,500 years later, for people to be engaging in love because of what we said and did.
Yeah, and I think the act of loving that which we don't understand or inclined not to love is prayerful in and of itself. Because not everybody I know has a prayer habit, but I think sending love into the universe is an act of prayer.
Oh, it 100% is. And honestly, I think because God is also hilarious. That's the thing people often like just don't ascribe to God. They're like, they're like, God's laugh sends like this electricity down your spine that you just would not believe. It's so genuine and it's so heartfelt and it's just so funny, you know? And then there's this other guy the other day who he did this out of body experience in Ra, that bird-headed god in Egypt. He
Okay.
and
Yes.
I love this story. This guy has an NDE or something like that. I forget. It doesn't matter. And so Ra shows up and this guy learns to have out of body experiences. He finally like does it. Ta-da! He did it. Like astral projection. Whoa! And so he's like doing this whole thing, and Ra shows up, and Ra goes to him, and he goes, "Achievement unlocked," right? Which is so great. And then this is the best part of the story. Me and my friend Rich were doing martial arts the other day, about 3 weeks ago, and this pigeon comes up with a hobbly foot and it's doing a hobbly foot thing. And my friend Rich points him out, and I go, "Oh," and I'm like, "I wonder if I can like touch him and help him because he looks like he wants help." So I get to the point where I'm like doing this on his neck with my finger, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And so we put him in a box, take him home, let him rest up for a few days, feed him, and now we have a pet pigeon. Right? He lives outside. His name's Porridge. Porridge the pigeon.
Okay.
And because in South Africa, our amazing au pair, they call cereal porridge. We went to the store and she's like, "Do you have any porridge?" I'm like, "I'm not sure. I was looking for porridge." She's like, "You have tons of porridge." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Captain Crunch." I'm like, "Captain Crunch porridge." They call it porridge. So anyway, so what I'm noticing is like even the things I'm seeing in podcasts are relating directly to like moments in my life, like this
Yeah,
raw moment and this pigeon moment. So I'm like, "Ooh, God is good."
that is good. There we have it.
And what's that make you think about?
It makes me think about acts of kindness and selflessness, and it makes me happy that the work I do doesn't impact perhaps everybody I work with, but for the people who find their their expression, who can now say, I do good things and this is how the work I do lifts up others. Like that connection for them is really empowering and can be ultimately life changing. So I'm a word nerd um, by craft, and I pride myself on being able to articulate difficult things briefly. I'm a big fan of brevity. And so my gift to people is helping them articulate their dreams, their hopes, their desires, their values in ways that have other understand how they can serve. And so when we're able to do that for ourselves, when we're able to attract our highest opportunity to serve others, call it a job, there's more fulfillment and meaning in our life. And that's reward unto itself. But like you said, an ocean view is nice as well. But we can't get in touch with that if we're just heads down grinding away. And so that makes me smile.
Yes. So what you, yeah, because going back to this idea of magic, which I love this idea of magic, right? So for me, magic, prayer, right? Same thing, very similar, right? And I know for some people that's not how they perceive it, but I do. It's like Disney magic. You know what I mean? Like imagining something and it's this beautiful imagination and
Yeah,
yeah, I love that stuff, right? And so, yeah, taking people down, sitting them down, and going, okay, let's put onto a piece of paper, right? Let's just, right, and
right.
just get it, right? Literally, okay. So, how do I tell this story? So, there was someone in my life who is Ah, man, this is okay. How do I do this? Um, I asked someone to start the next 5 sentences with the words "Thank God." Right. And I was at a point where I was like, I don't know how much energy I have left in the tank. Right. Because when you're around people and there's like, have you said a positive thing today? Today.
Yeah,
Like it's 2 in the morning. And for the last 26 hours or whatever, like
it becomes habitual. People don't even know they're doing it.
and I'm just like, the next 5 sentences, I am begging you, start with the words thank God. You know what I mean? And then it took this particular person a long time. Like there was a significant pause. And I'm like, whoa, I do that all the time. I am running around all the time. Mind you, I know how my brain is, right? So I'm rejecting all that, rejecting all that, rejecting all that. But I am thinking thank you, God. And I know you're with me. And like, I love everyone. And I've got all these mantras going all the time. And so to encounter a mind like that, sometimes it's like, whoa, right? And so
It's
that
it,
it's
it
kind of your
takes a
work,
lot.
right? You know? So isn't this your work? You come in, you encounter their mind where it happens to be, right? And then, like how often do you say love? Do you incorporate that? Does that get into you know what I mean? In the business setting?
I got to think about
Oh,
that.
dude,
I talk a lot about passion and self-love, because it's really hard for somebody who doesn't love themselves, or even know what self-love looks and feels like. I mean, it's something I've been toying with for decades, but
Yep.
there are others who've never given it a thought. And so to have people understand that with greater self-love comes the ability to attract greater opportunity, sometimes takes a minute for that to sink in.
And it goes maybe okay. Again, my love for you, Sima, is my love, right? It just is, right? Like, and that's the truth. Because like for this moment, you're everything. Now, if I think about my wife, I think about Caden, my son, or I think about Annika, my daughter. I think, you know what I mean? Like as they come in, I love them, right? But as I listen to you, I love you, right? So wherever my attention is where the love has to go.
That's right. And what you focus on in that regard is what you get back.
Yes.
That's just how it works.
Yes. So when you talk about self-love, it's like, when you think about the Boston Red Sox, you know what I mean? Just random, just include you know what I mean? Like, do you love the Boston Red Sox? Yes or no? You know what I mean? And the answer is yes. It's yes. Just say you do, right? You do now.
I
Okay.
love the Boston Red Sox.
Let's go. You know what I mean? And it's like, and why? It's like,
Well, I think that works too with the law of attraction in romantic areas of your life. I was counseled by a mentor of sorts to put together my wish list, my partner wish list.
oh,
Um,
sure.
and I'd been married once before, and it had a happy, mutual, respectful ending at the right time. Um, and no helicopter pads were split in half or anything. It was just fine. And but I wanted to find, as I began to better understand myself, I knew what I needed in a partner differently from the past. And I wrote a wish list in the affirmative. So
Mm.
everything had to be written in, not they can't be this, they can't be that. It was all about what I wanted to attract. And it was like 27 items long. And that's who I'm married to today.
Nope. Correct. Yes, yes, right? Like what I find is what God will do is so I was at this company called Advised Media Group. I was like, I want to be a partner, right? Partner of the company, partner, 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 right? Just right. And then one day I was like, oh, I guess I'm launching my own company, right? You see what I mean? So it's like
Yep.
So it's like, this is what I wanted. And God's like, would you take twice as much? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like thoughts on that, you know? And so like I've got $22 million net worth written up there, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if it were 50. It wouldn't at all. You know, I'd be like, right, that's in line. Right. And because it's like saying things like, my net worth is $22 million. To be able to even say that, you can feel. I was taught this lesson by a friend of mine, Han, who I loved dearly. He was talking about, $20,000 checks and like getting paid this sort of like amount of money for certain things. And he's like, go ahead, say it. And I was like my 19-year-old, I couldn't, I was unable to do it at that and he's like, just say the words, and I'm like, and so that's so true of many things. It's
That's right.
like, hey, say you love Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump. I love Joe Biden. I love Kamala Harris, right? I love them. They are human beings. They
They
deserve
are
love,
human beings
right? They're doing their thing. You know what I mean? It's like, understand them or
to the
don't.
best of their ability.
Love them, man. And I can detail reasons why. I mean, like Joe Biden lost his son. I mean, he's been a lifelong politician. He's clearly struggling with like getting older. Like he wanted to be a president his whole life. He managed it. God bless that dude. Donald Trump, are you kidding? The dude's hilarious. Hilarious. If you can see him from that angle, right? And like give him the benefit
For
of the doubt, like
sure.
hilarious. Guy's funny. He's very different from like any other politician. I love that guy. Like, he's right. Love him. And real estate is real estate. Have you met these real estate people at the highest levels? Yeah. I mean, they're
I
playing.
actually have. I used to work in commercial real estate, and there's a lot of similarities between executive chefs and real estate tycoons.
So, I mean, go ahead and play in the billionaire level for a while in real estate and get back to me, right? See how like cordial you are, to everybody. It's like because I've noticed this in my own little company. It's like sometimes I'm like, this is what I need right now, right? Find the solution. I gotta go.
Get it.
You know what I mean? I'm leaving now. I love you. Fix it and leave. You know what I mean? And so, and that's something I wouldn't ever get to. But the reason I behave that way is because there's someone I love over here called a client, right? And they deserve, right, the effort,
That's
right?
right.
So
Yeah.
yes, I'm coming across in a certain way, but it's in love. Like this, I love you and I love them, but let's
I
go.
oh I say that a lot, and I'm saying this from a place of love. This is coming to you from a place of love, but you're not going to love the message at first pass.
Yeah.
Give it a minute.
And people, man, when you say that to people, you already know. And I've had that dropped on me before too. I know I love you like a
It's
brother.
coming.
And this is what I mean by the power of love. This is what I mean. Like that complete chi draining feeling. You know what I mean? I had a client just the other day. Hey man, I love you like a brother. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Here he goes.
Like, let's hear it. And what he said was true. It was not what I wanted to hear. Right.
Yeah,
And I have to love him through that whole thing. And I have to solve the problem. Right. And it's like,
right.
okay, love is being willing to feel that way. It's like that's not a pleasant feeling, right?
No.
I gonna do? Am I gonna love him or not?
What'd you just say?
I said, am I going to love them or not?
Oh, yeah, you have no choice because
Yeah,
it is your love is yourself. It is one. It's ubiquitous,
yeah, you got to. I'm telling you.
omnipresent. All the big words.
Yep, yep. So you said the word crestfallen earlier, and I thought to myself, crestfallen. Haven't heard that one thrown around recently.
Such a word nerd. I'm such a word nerd. I'm the gal who does the Wordles and the New York Times puzzles and the get the Merriam-Webster word of the day. Um, I was trying to remember, I get an email, notes from the universe. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of that.
I get notes from the universe, and they are like these uplifting, powerful messages that remind you that your thoughts drive outcomes, and that the universe will take what you're thinking and solve. Like much like you said, all of a sudden now you have your own company. You wanted to be a partner and come. Oh, you have your own. Okay, because the universe solved that wish for you, but in its own way. So I get these reminders 2, 3 times a week. I believe that if something is important to you, you either have a coach for it, a guide for it, a mentor, or some kind of reminder to help you stay on path.
Yep.
And so those little notes from the universe are sort of my weekly sermons, if you will.
I love that. Let me share with you the absolute highest level. Like you go through a video game, it's like very top level. It's like wow, right? Like some of the highest level things that I've had to do is substitute instead of saying the word universe, say God. That has been
Okay.
incredibly rewarding for me. And the reason why is because it is one of the most difficult things I've done. Because what it
Really
does up is because when I do that, when instead because I for years. So the universe this, universe that, universe, right? I did that, I used that language, right? When
interesting.
I was like, okay, we're going God on this one. What it does is it people look at you and then I have to absorb every single thing that God means to them. And so it's like the fire hose and they're looking at me like, what do you mean by that? Right. And so, but once that flip switches and they realize I worship the God of love, right? This is my God. Okay. It's the
Right?
God. Love is creation. God is love. It's ever increasing. Love is the answer. That's God to me, right? Then it's like because people are they're you know what I mean? They want it. They want that. They want someone to actually embody that. Not someone perfect, right?
That's
Not
interesting.
someone
I'll have to give that a little bit more thought in my language choice.
because you get up on stage in front of 1,000 people and you say the word God in a business. Oh, whoa,
I might not get hired back.
boom. See, love or fear,
That's right. That's
right?
literally, I
You see
believe
what I
that,
mean?
love or
That's why I'm
fear.
saying. That's why I'm saying it, right? Because then now you're imagining it. Oh, could I be the one who says God? And I had those moments, right? And I was like, and the reason we're on the show right now, and the reason why I'm just like bouncing off the walls with energy, like you know what I mean? I just like the words aren't, they can't go out of my face fast enough, right? To get the point across, is
Yeah.
because of God, right? It's because I am stretching towards something that is always growing in more unconditional, right? And so that singular word change, love and God. Woo!
Well, you said universe and God, didn't you?
Oh yeah, universe and God. But those are my two words. That's what I'm saying. So
Okay,
instead,
love and
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I'll say I love my
I sort of
employees,
think of the
love
universe
my
as God,
clients.
so it's not going to be a hard, it'll be a hard, it's a habit to use the word universe because
Yep.
that's my spirituality, but I can easily say God.
Woo.
But I was, it's just interesting how you think about what you what your belief system is with respect to God and how that influences the language we use.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm saying it's again, this isn't me. It's literally the power of God. It's the power of God, right? And so that power is woo, it's so powerful. It's so deep.
Yeah,
Because again,
yeah.
like I said at the very beginning of this, and I know you got to go soon. The very beginning of this, uh uh what was it? We were talking about, can't remember. All I know is that God has transformed my life. Oh, this is what it was. It doesn't matter to me. Hardcore atheist, agnostic, Buddhist, right? Because none of those things could possibly contain God. That's the definition of God. Like it's beyond that. It's even
Beyond
beyond
contain. Yeah.
yes. So as long as that is what it is, right? That drives, it's like, oh man, the miracles. That's the third word I love. God, love, and miracles.
Miracles. That's a powerful one.
That's a good, yeah.
Yeah, very powerful.
Hmm.
Miracles are magic. I mean, that all to me is this synonymous like feeling I want to carry in my heart every day.
Mm. And you're doing it as you say it now, right? I mean,
Right.
you're saying the word God, you're saying the word miracle, you're saying the word love, right? And then yeah, you stand in front of 1,000 people, and the first words out of your mouth, is I love everyone. I believe in
Yeah.
miracles.
God is good and I love you. Drop
Yeah.
some mic.
Yeah. It's like, hey, everyone, I believe God is good. I love everyone. And I believe in miracles.
And I
Beautiful.
can't say I believe in miracles without hearing the song. I mean,
Maybe,
I
maybe
can't.
that's what you walk up to. It's a,
Right, right. My walk up song.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, fantastic. Everyone loves Sima Dahl. I want to make sure that they can reach you if folks want to talk to you, they want to connect with you, they're vibing with us on
Right.
the show today. How would they do that?
They can just hit me up on my website, simadahl.com, Simadal. Sounds like a Middle Eastern Indian name. It's not. But if that's how you remember it, like simmer down.
Did you say, I'm sorry, did you say SIMADAHL.com?
I sure did, Kellen. Thank you.
Did? S as in Sam, I as in insect, M as in marble, A
Henry.
as in apple, D as in
Yes.
dog, A as in apple, H as in Henry, L as in lizard.com.
I said it exactly, not as well, but yes. Simadal.com. You got it.
Simadal.com, not .org. So it was Simadal. Okay, I think I got it. .com. All right. I think just want to make sure we're clear on that. That's 8 letters.
It's not bad. My maiden name was Russian. It started with a Z. I'm not going there.
Okay, totally fair. Is that 9 consonants strung together? Uh, okay. All right. Who loves Simadal? Everyone loves Simadal. I'm gonna let you get the last word. So I'm gonna do my little thing. Y'all know Send It Rising .com. We're doing unbelievable stuff with artificial intelligence. Like you want to talk about the genie in the magic lamp. I am not kidding. Like I've got these consulting gigs where I'm coming into organizations and we are changing everything. Everything is changing based on
I
what you.
just got on ChatGPT for the first time this
Oh,
past
Emma,
week, and I was like,
don't even get me started. I mean,
oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I've been using something called Grammarly because word nerd.
I
Uh, and I don't think of these things that I use all the time as artificial intelligence, but they most certainly are. And they're life changing and game changing, and love it. Don't be afraid of it.
Yep, it's so true. So if you want to do a 30-minute on AI alone, just one-to-one with me, we should seriously, because like every person I've done this one-to-one with, they walk away going, I had no idea it
I'm
was
going to take
capable.
you up on that. I love that.
Yeah, they're like, what is happening right now? Like this book, AI, right? Completely, start to finish. 200 pages. And I could go on and on and on. All right. So anyway, that's my pitch. Senditrising.com. Come check us out. Final word, Simadal.
My final word is God is love, and I love you.